A wiser feller than myself once said, sometimes you eat the turd sandwich, sometimes the turd sandwich, well, it eats you.
Alrighty. So yes,
Turd
we are
sandwich.
we are back. For those listening, it's just another week. It's the next week.
Turd
For us though, usually with busyness, we sometimes do every 2 weeks. So we are back. And I was going to say this before, but the past 2 weeks have been like so long
Oh,
because I think about we recorded 2 weeks ago.
yeah. Oh God, it feels like it's been 2 years.
Yeah. Like the past 2 weeks have been just like so long. Just so much going on and stuff.
I got a new day job.
Nice.
Yeah, I left my previous job, so now I got a new day job. So I turned in my 2 weeks notice on last Tuesday.
Yeah.
But I took my whole second week of that 2 week notice off, like on vacation.
Smart.
Yeah, what I did was I submitted the time off first and waited for it to be approved, and then I went and gave them my 2 week notice.
That's alpha brain right there, everyone.
Because the thing is, I'm going into a job where I'm not getting any more vacation time until I've been there for at least a year.
Yeah.
Now I do get way more holidays off, but yeah, I'm not
right.
vacation time until I've been there for at least a year. And also, where I just left is the first job I've ever had where I got paid vacation time. So,
right.
Like, this is kind of a smoke 'em if you got 'em situation for me. I don't really want
to it's one of those things.
Opportunity for it.
Yeah, it's one of those things. If you built it up for so long and you haven't used it, if you're quitting and going to a next job, it's not like it carries over to the next job. You might as well use it.
Yeah, because everybody keeps telling me, like, well, they'll pay you out the vacation days that you have. And I'm like, but I want to take my vacation.
Yeah. No, I would 100% do that because it's tough to have a break or vacation days.
Yeah.
Like so when you have the chance, yeah, it's worth it. My opinion, unless like you're just really strapped for cash sort of thing. My opinion, like almost always take the vacation days somehow, whether it's like this, like stacking them up till the very end or for like a big trip or whatever, or whatever it may be. Cause I don't know. I personally, with having vacation days, value using the vacation days more than getting the payout of the vacation days.
Yeah.
If I was strapped for cash, though, I might would cash in.
I'm all about taking as much time off of work as I can get away with. So
yeah. Oh yeah. And if I get paid to do it,
yeah, and
that's even better.
I'll probably actually I'll have some time to write. I definitely need to write this time because last time I was on vacation, I told myself I'll sit down and write like every single day of the vacation, and then I didn't do anything.
Wait, so are you on your vacation week this week?
Yeah, right now.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah, I don't start my new job until a week from today, 7 days from today, so next Tuesday.
Nice. Yeah, that's when I'm kicking into high gear with my normal day job and also running a Kickstarter.
Oh, dang.
It's fun, but it's so exhausting. Like, once it's over, I'm just like, just like relax.
Yeah. Also, that means that I'm not really going to be available to record like in early afternoons anymore.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say I wanted to talk to you about like your willingness to record like after 4 o'clock or on weekends.
Yeah. Whatever works best for you. Like, my schedule is essentially I work 40 hours, 40 plus hours, but it's all flexible. Aside from Sunday. Sunday's not really flexible, but
yeah, because my new job is I'm going to be working 8 to 4 every Monday through Friday. So it's like finally a normal job.
Yeah. The previous job you had, did you work on weekends?
When they needed me to.
Yeah, I thought at some points you worked on weekends.
I did.
Well, that's cool. You get weekends off.
Yeah, the last really crazy thing that happened was like back in June, we had like a 14 solid day work week.
Dang.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember you talking about that. Yeah. And
I hated
didn't
it.
You took like a couple days off after
I took a sick day just so that I could make sure I wasn't failing my classes.
Oh yeah, that makes complete sense.
Because it was the last 2 weeks of a term at the time, which is the most important 2 weeks of a term.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I took a sick day just to make sure that I had time not to fail my classes.
Yeah. No, I was and acknowledge now that I was completely blessed with going to college, like not working a full-time job. I did work part-time, but working a part-time, working on comics and doing full-time classes, like that was enough. I couldn't see me doing all that, but instead of part-time it being full-time, like I wouldn't have been able to do that.
Well, you see, that's the value of like doing online schooling. Basically the whole point of online college courses is those are courses for adults who don't have time for full-time college.
Basically. Yeah. It's essentially
the point of doing it online.
Yeah, kind of working at your own pace. Kind of.
Yeah, I mean, like there's still deadlines. There's still things that you got to do. But yeah, like the pace is because I went to a PSC for a few months years ago, and the pace of an online course is, while you are working on a weekly pace, because I do Southern New Hampshire University is where I'm going right now. So it's still on like a weekly pace, and you still have like Thursdays and Sundays. Something is due every Thursday and every Sunday, but at the same time, it does feel a lot more relaxed than like going to a campus and like physically classes.
Yeah, my last year, maybe my last year and a half, I did a bunch of online classes. Like I think I did more online classes than I did in-person classes.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it a lot more just for that, in terms of the pacing, not having to be there at a specific time, not having to freaking wake up for a 7:30 a.m. class and all this stuff. And it's like, I'm paying for this as well. Like, why am I paying for this torture? The hell's the matter with me? Like, the last 2 years is when I really thought about like, okay, I'm learning, but like, can I enjoy learning as well?
That's when I really started to think about ending it all.
Yeah. Like the last 2 years, I was ready to get out because I had been in college for so long, because I transferred majors and all that stuff, and a lot of stuff didn't carry over because they were completely different majors. But I was just ready to get out. I'm happy I did go through college, both with the original major that, when it comes to a piece of paper, didn't matter. And also my major that I actually did graduate with. I'm happy with both. I learned a lot through both, not just like the application stuff, because the first major is nursing. I learned a bunch through that. Then the second major, biblical studies. Learned a bunch through that. It's biblical studies, but a focus was like ministry and psychology and therapy and stuff. So I learned a ton through that stuff. But man, I remember shortly after I graduated, someone was like, "So you want to like get your master's in like biblical studies or go further?" I was like, "Dude, I don't even want to hear it right now." Like, if I'm not even considering it now. I've been graduated for over 3 years now. I'm still not considering it.
So you're gonna go for your master's, dude? By the end of it, I didn't even want my associates.
For real, like I maybe 5 years from now, things will be different. I'm like, I'll go back for my master's, that sort of thing. But like current Brandon and Brandon 3.5 years ago was like, heck no. Bachelor's, I'm done. And I learned a lot, but ultimately the reason I went for bachelor's is because most churches or organizations don't hire unless you have a bachelor's in theology or biblical studies or something like that. So like I learned a ton through it, but like for me to actually work somewhere, I had to have this piece of paper.
Yeah. You have to have a degree in theology. You go into a church and you're like, okay, so I was going over the story of how Tiamat's body was used to create the world. And they're like, whoa, Tiamat. And you're like, yeah, all it said was a theology degree.
Yeah,
specified biblical theology.
Yeah, in your when I was filling out the job application, I saw the requirements you guys had, and you said just a theology degree. You never specified, so this is on you.
I have a degree in Babylonian theology.
I have a degree from Scientology, the Church of Scientology. So
it was awarded to me by Tom Cruise himself.
Yes, here it is. Here's the paper. It's just it basically looks like one of those things. Like, I don't know if you had to do this with homeschooling, but there was programs that we had to do sometimes where it's like anti-bullying programs or anti-drug programs or whatever, where we had to do it on the computer, and at the end of it we got like this little certificate thing saying like, I passed the blah 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 thing or whatever.
No, our anti-bullying program was our mom would just beat us.
Yeah, ours was like weird. Yeah, there's some computer thing we had to do, and sometimes you'd have to go home and do it. But it was like some lame video game that we had to do. Like, you could walk around. I guess that's the plus side, is like it was interactive. I'll give them that. If it was just questions and stuff and reading, it'd be so boring.
Yeah.
But you did walk around as like a little kid walking up to people on the school playground and stuff and like asking them questions like, hey, like, what do you think about Tommy punching Billy in the face and crapping in his mouth? What do you think about that?
Ugh.
Like, that was one of the prompts.
Oh, gosh. One of
the
one of the kids in your class sneaks his copy of Rockstar's Bully in.
Yeah, I'm doing great in this. I threw stink bombs everywhere. Everyone ran out of the school.
Yeah, but being a bully is so much fun. I don't understand why they're trying to encourage this.
I'm staying out of the school, out of the bedroom area, past the curfew, and I'm inside the school bus, and it's now 1 a.m. and for some reason I'm so sleepy that I pass out. That's something I remember from Bully, is like 1 or 2 a.m. Your guy just gets tired and he passes out. He can't stay up past 2 a.m.
Can't stay up past 2 a.m. When I was how old is the main character in that game? Is he like 13 or 14?
I thought he was older. I thought it was like a high school or something.
Really? Okay. I've never played Bully. But like from the look, like he looks like he's just supposed to be like kind of like a beefy like 13-year-old or something. But
yeah.
But yeah, like when I was that age, staying up to 2 a.m. was a struggle. Like I didn't start doing that. Until I was like 17 or 18.
Yeah.
And nowadays I couldn't fathom that. It's like, stay up till 2 a.m. I'm waking up at 2 a.m. to go to work. Like,
yeah, I think a lot of the characters.
Well, not anymore. Oh my gosh, dude, I am so looking for, like, not to drag the topic back up, but like,
no, you're good.
I'm so looking forward to waking up after the sun has risen to go to work.
Waking up at normal times.
Yes, it's like, it's 7 a.m. and I still have an hour before work starts. Like at my last job, I'd already been at work for 2 hours by 7 a.m.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's that I'm happy for you. Yeah, I've had, and you've had like worse jobs in terms of like what you've talked about experience wise, like
Yeah.
gas station clerk to me of and it's your experience, but of all you've said, gas station clerk sounds like the worst one you've had.
That is the worst one I've had. Like of all the crappy jobs I've had, working at the gas station, I will say was probably the worst one.
Yeah.
It was the most character building one, but it was the worst one.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing too, where it's like you look back on your horrible jobs and you realize that that's where so much of like both good and bad aspects of your personality come from at this stage in your life. Like,
oh, 100%.
I feel like so much of who I am solidified in that gas station.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, my worst job, I don't think it compares entirely, but my worst job was working at a pizzeria.
Oof, that sucks. You see, I feel like based on the stories I've heard, any kind of food service is the worst place to work.
Yeah, which I wasn't even a cook, and like I wouldn't really want to be a cook, but I was essentially the job title was waiter.
Yeah.
But you're doing everything because this is like a essentially a mom and pop pizzeria. I think it was slightly a chain. They had 2 or 3 spots sort of thing.
Yeah.
But as a quote unquote waiter, you're doing everything other than cooking and typing in the computer like the manager does. The manager is just in the back typing in the computer the whole time. I have no idea what the hell he's doing. What is he managing? Like I understand you got to like do your little business stuff with computer and stuff, but like you're not on the ground floor. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah. You go in, you say, you catch him playing like Minesweeper. He's like, oh
yeah, exactly. Playing
I'm
working. Douche solitaire. But yeah,
Did you say playing douche solitaire? Is that just solitaire, but it's got pictures of like douchebags on the face cards?
Oh, I was just thinking the cards themselves were douchebags, and then it just had the number imprints on the douchebags.
Oh. It's like instead of the King of Hearts, it's the Jared Leto of Hearts.
Yeah, with that pizzeria job, like ultimately the people I worked with was fine, and even though I hated like the manager, I didn't know what the hell he did. I'm not saying he didn't do anything. It's just I didn't know what he was doing. That frustrates me.
Yeah.
But because I've had other jobs before where like I'm used to what a manager does. They're essentially working alongside us, sort of thing.
You want to see what I'm doing? You want to know what I'm doing? Here, look at what I'm doing. Look at all these crazy numbers you can't even comprehend. Sir, that is hentai. Oh, wrong tab. Sorry, hang on.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I walk back there and open the door, if it'd just be like Patrick going to work. They're just watching TV, eating donuts and sundaes and stuff. This is the thanks I get. Yeah, but that job is the quickest I've ever quit from a job. I think I quit within the first 3 weeks. I want to say maybe it was 2 weeks. I hated that job so much. All the people were good. That's the thing. The people were great. I got along well with everyone. It's just the pay for all the stuff I was doing, just it didn't match up. And I was like, no, I'm just going to go work at Walmart. I'll just be I'll be a cart pusher at Walmart where I have one job. I am just pushing carts back and forth. And I am making more than this pizzeria job where I'm doing everything other than cooking.
Yeah. At my next job, I'm about to be receiving like I'm getting the highest hourly wage I've gotten at any job.
Yeah, so you said 8 to 4, so 8 hours. So that's 40-hour weeks.
Yeah, that's a full-time 40-hour week.
Nice.
Yeah, and like it's the like I'm getting paid more per hour than I've gotten paid at any other job. It's a smaller family owned business, so it's not like they can't like offer me insurance or anything, but like whatever, dude. Like it's they're like I said, it's about to be like the largest paycheck hourly, at least, that like I've ever received. Well, no, largest paycheck altogether, because it's not only the highest I've been paid per hour, but it's also going to be like I'm getting full-time hours on top of that.
Yeah. And you're, with you already knowing the schedule, basically, you're guaranteed most of the time. Something can always happen at the work site or whatever, but most of the time you're guaranteed 40 hours a week sort of thing.
Yeah. No, like I'm pretty much guaranteed, like outside of holidays, it's going to be 40 hour week every week.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be, oh, excuse me. Oh, that was gross. Yeah, it's gonna be great. And what was I about to say? I feel like I had a thought loaded. Goodness. Whatever. It probably doesn't matter. Yeah. So like it's, oh, right. I know what I was going to say. The only downside, there's one downside, and that's that it's, I'll be getting paid on the 1st and 15th of every month. So, it's fortnightly pay roughly, depending on the month. And so, but that doesn't really mean anything as far as like how much I'll be getting paid. It's just,
you'll get paid.
I just got to budget out for it.
Yeah. Whenever I started working as a youth minister, it was, I think, the first time where I got fortnightly paid. And I think at the beginning I was like, interesting. But like after a while I got used to it, to where like I almost prefer that over weekly. It makes me more, I guess, more conscious. I've always been good at managing my money fairly well, but if I got paid weekly, or let's say daily, there's always that temptation of like, I've got this money right here. I can spend it right now.
Yes.
I can
spend it all.
I can hit up the strip club and throw it all away.
Yes, make it rain.
I can go to the gas station and spend it on overpriced liquor.
Yes. Equal opportunity for socially transmitted illnesses between the strip club and the gas station.
That's just a bonus.
But
yeah. So seems like life is good.
Yeah, things are. I had a really hard month last month.
Yeah.
But it feels like, well, okay, I'm gonna be honest. I've had a really hard past couple of years. Like things are just kind of, maybe not past couple, the last year. The last year has been hard for me, like emotionally, and just like, because a lot of things have been changing, and it's been affecting my mental state a lot. Right. Like, I feel like I'm getting used to it, and things are normalizing, and so like my brain is kind of adjusting to things.
Right. Yeah, I'd say like, and there's multiple things, and we both have different experiences with our lives, but like whenever I initially moved out, because I have like such a close relationship with my family, I think both of us are blessed in that we have pretty close relationships with our family. Like when I initially had moved out, that was like tough for me. Now I think the plus side of it, there was a reason I initially moved out, and I've talked about that with you before, but the plus side of it was my sister was there, so there was at least someone there, as well as my parents weren't far away. They were like 15 minutes away, essentially. It wasn't that far. But yeah, like at least that first 6 months or something just felt completely off to me. It just felt so weird, and sometimes I was just like, I feel like I'm not wasting time, but there were those moments where my mom might mention something, or not. I'm not saying this in a mean way, but like nag and say like, hey, like can you come help me do this or that or whatever, and it kept me occupied to where when you move out, you don't really have that anymore.
No.
And for me at least, that first 6 months, like I like missed that. I was like, oh dang. And there was other family stuff going on at that time, which is now all completely resolved and patched up. But yeah, it was just one of those things where it's like, like this it's so weird. I long for this. I miss this sort of thing. Yeah, it's really weird.
It is kind of weird because I had something similar where it's like all of a sudden nobody really needed anything from me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And like for me, that was a pretty decent freeing experience because that's kind of what I've wanted for a long time.
Oh yeah.
But but at the same time, and they've asked me for help a few times. Like there were times when they had asked me to like dog sit because Scout can't be left alone yet. And honestly, she's almost 2 years old. If she can't be left alone now, I don't know that she ever will be. But but yeah, so there's that. But other than that, like I haven't really been asked to help a whole lot with a lot of things. I used to make jokes before I moved out that because there was once where my mom and my sister were sitting in the living room and and the remote control was on a different seat than either of them were sitting in for the TV. So they texted me to ask me to come out of my room, which was on the other side of the house, come into the living room and hand them the remote control. And I walked away. I didn't do it because I came out into the living room and they were like, why didn't you just do it? Like you were already out there. And I was like, I was out there because you texted me to come out and hand you the remote control. So no, I wasn't going to do that. But yeah, so like so I would make jokes before I moved out that my mom was going to call me from across town to come and
can you get the remote, please?
Get the remote for her in her own living room. But no, but yeah, but when your family has a history of doing something like that, it's
yeah.
That's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I wouldn't put it past you to to do something like that. So yeah, they never did that again though after I just walked away that one time.
Yeah.
But yeah, but for me, I also moved into a place with my sister after moving out from my parents' place.
Yeah.
And she also recently moved back in with them. But the thing is, for me, a huge part of this past year, it's really just been the past couple months that have been hitting me the hardest, where I really started kind of taking a bit of a mental downturn into a darker place was back when I was working that 14-day work week at work. And that coincided with the week that my sister was moving back in with our parents. And I was supposed to be there to help. But I couldn't be because I needed to go into work every single day.
Yeah.
For half a month. And so this event that I was it was going to be the first time. Well, it is currently the first time I'm ever living completely on my own, totally self-sustained, like no one else is here with me.
Right.
And I'm doing it. And that was supposed to be like the moment that happened, the moment that started was supposed to be something that I got to participate in.
Right.
But because my job kept me away from it, it's no longer an event that I got to participate in, and it turned into something that happens to me.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, I started getting really angry and sad, and I held on to that for months. I just held on to that, and like it was really starting to do some damage because like all of it was, I didn't have anywhere to go with it. So
yeah.
It was, Plus, that, depressive downward spiral was in full swing by the time that we had to say goodbye to Frankie. So that just made it worse.
Yeah.
So it's been a hard couple months, hard year in general, from a mental perspective. And I know I've said this before only to like go spiraling straight back down, but I really think I'm starting to come out of it now.
Yeah.
I'm feeling better because I talk to my mom a lot because I can't afford therapy. And and as you said, you and I have both been blessed with close relationships with our families. I'm very happy and proud of the fact that I have the kind of relationship with my mother where I can go and talk to her and use her as a therapy substitute.
Yeah.
So she and I have managed to make some pretty big breakthroughs on my mental health.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm feeling better because I feel like I've finally gotten to close some loops.
Yeah, close some loops as well as like just air the stuff that has been pent up, sort of thing.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. I think that was the toughest thing for me when I initially had moved out. Was there was a lot of family stuff going on at the time, but there was also just like I was used to talking to my mom or whoever about certain situations that had come up or whatever, and now like there was the family stuff happening and all this, and me having been moved out, it felt kind of isolating at first, but it was one of those things where the family stuff got resolved and honestly feels stronger than it did a year, 2 years ago, sort of thing. To where like that stuff isn't pent up anymore. Like everyone got to say their sort of thing that had been pent up, that had put us in this place, sort of thing of I'm being very vague, but
Yeah.
there were a lot of different thoughts on stuff that was going on, but when we all just kind of voiced it and allowed each of us to have a say, surprisingly, it went pretty well. And yeah, it's been good. So at least with me, family wise, yeah, like I've had like stuff here and there, not family wise, but just other stuff here and there, like the past year that come up. Really, I should say 2024 that come up, but God, compared to the end of my 2022 and almost all of my 2023, like this year, I so much more appreciate this year. This year is like leave 2023 and the end of 2022 in the past, at least for me, the stuff that was going on. Because oh my gosh, like I made it through, and I'm a stronger person and stuff, and everyone's stronger people over it after. But
yeah,
good God, Like this year for me has been like so weird. You've navigated through all this stuff, and now you feel, I don't know the best way to put it, you feel more ready to live in this world almost.
Yeah, and it's and I really think I know I keep like pinpointing different points where I feel like the mental spiral could have started. But another thing too is that like I feel like I also kind of started getting more depressed about a year ago when Frankie's health did start taking its first major dip.
Yeah.
And we thought a year ago that she was going to be gone, but then she like caught a second wind.
Yeah.
And she stuck it out just long enough to meet my niece.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like she stuck it out.
Yeah.
Who, by the logic of our family, because we treat dogs as siblings in my family.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So like by the logic of our family, that was her niece too.
Yeah.
So it was. She got to meet her.
Yeah.
She got to be with her for 2 weeks. 2 weeks to the day.
And you guys might not know now, and maybe you do, but maybe through like self-reflection, y'all might like kind of could pinpoint this. But on top of that, also there likely is a reason for Frankie to have lived for another year for y'all's purposes, for you yourself, for your mom, for your dad, for your sister, like almost like God possibly knew that each of you needed that extra year, possibly. I don't know. I don't like to say it to a bunch of people, and I don't recommend saying it to people on many occasions, various occasions. It depends on the context, but the thought of a plan God has, or things happening for a reason almost.
Yeah.
You can't just go out and tell someone right after
Oh yeah, no.
something happens, like, oh, things happen for you at that point you almost deserve to get punched in the face, sort of.
Yeah.
I
lost all of my fingers and toes for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, is like there's going to be things that happen that like in your life or in the world or whatever it may be, where it's like, dude, like I'm at the end of my life. It's been 50 plus years and I still don't know why the hell this happened.
Yeah.
There's going to be things like that.
And the thing is too, just because and this is something that I've had to learn, through listening to my family, is just because God can work something bad into something good doesn't mean that the initial bad thing had a reason for happening. Sometimes bad things do just happen.
Exactly. No,
and like I said, it can be worked into something good. It can be used to make things better. But that doesn't mean that that doesn't mean was planned.
Exactly. It doesn't mean the bad thing like God hit the button on the bad thing and the bad thing happens.
Hit the bad thing button.
Yeah. I think it's exactly
red button in his control room. He's like, bad thing button, go brrr.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where if you believe in free will, bad things can happen because of free will.
Yeah.
But good things can come out in the aftermath or much later from those bad things that happened in free will.
Yeah.
That's
honestly for me, because the thing is, like I said, like we thought Frankie was going to be gone a year ago, and that really confronted me with her mortality for the first time. So I basically have spent the past year mourning her in advance of her actual death.
Yeah.
So, and it's been, I think, no, it hasn't been a full month. It's been a few weeks since she's been gone already. And, I'm still feeling the grief of it. But at the same time, though, like I said, I just spent basically a solid year mourning her in advance. So there's, just because I'm feeling it strongest now, it also feels like there's a weight lifted. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I we all have our own personal ways of feeling it, but I've heard with people that have because I've seen it with relatives and stuff. I haven't personally experienced it yet, but I've seen it with relatives. Oh, go ahead.
You didn't hear anything come through my microphone just then, did you, while you were talking?
No, I heard like something minor that sounded like a sneeze or something.
Okay. Yes, we'll call it a sneeze. Sorry, I've been walking back and forth. I work to fart out. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry to fart on our deep talk about death and life and change.
What's hilarious
on our comic book podcast.
What's hilarious is the listener would have just thought it was like a random room noise, but Teo called out the fart. So now, listener, definitively it is a fart.
Yes, I did fart. And yes, I did have to grab my left butt cheek and move it to the side to make room for the fart to get out.
Dude, I've been doing that a lot recently. I've had some wicked farts. Or yeah, but it's like, all right, this is going to be a big one. I gotta make room here.
Yeah, like for some reason, I must have like just really voluptuous, grippable butt cheeks. In case there are any girls listening, where like that just hold my farts in. So I gotta like kind of take one and move it out of the way so that there's room.
Yeah.
For the fart to escape.
Now let it rip.
Like a Beyblade.
Yeah.
Let it rip. That's I watched a few episodes of Beyblade when I was a kid, and that was always the joke my parents made.
The let it, yeah. We did that on like the elementary school grounds. Yeah, I remember we maybe it wasn't at school because I highly doubt our teachers will let us brought Beyblades and the little plastic stage thing, the blue plastic stage. I doubt they would have let us brought that in. So I'm guessing we were at a friend's house, and I remember we were in the backyard doing it, and so we were like, because we watched the show and stuff, we're like, Beyblade, let it rip. And as soon as we said rip, someone like farted behind us. We let it go. That's a locked memory that was just unlocked. I completely forgot about it.
One of these days, maybe once I get through a more significant chunk of my manga study, I'm gonna go on Crunchyroll, see how many of those old, basically toy advertisement anime I can find, and watch through a bunch of them. We'll watch through Yu-Gi-Oh, Beyblade, and just
have fun. I don't even know if you can have fun with that.
Yes,
but
I was gonna say, see how many of them I can stomach. Hey, like early Yu-Gi-Oh is okay.
It's okay. The when you go back to it, I think when you go back to it, you can enjoy it for like how over the top they take it. It's good bad. It's bad. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Yu-Gi-Oh anime is bad, but you as an adult, you can enjoy it for like kind of laughing at how serious they take it, sort of thing.
Yeah, like you can kind of keep for how serious they take it. And you could also like there are certain things where like you can keep something of a bingo card on like certain events happening, like Yu-Gi-Oh telling his opponent they're wrong in the middle of a fight. You're wrong, Kaiba. Like that line gets uttered a lot.
Yeah. And especially like you get enjoyment from not just how serious they take it, but like how awful most of the dubbing is. There's enjoyment in that.
Hey, man. 4Kids, like the way 4Kids used to dub stuff is a lost art form.
It really is. Well, that's the thing is like when I was a little kid, I didn't notice any of this stuff. I was just like, yeah, this rocks. Like I remember it was my birthday. It was August 14th, whatever year the Yu-Gi-Oh movie came out. I remember weeks prior, whenever there was a trailer of it or whatever on TV or they advertised it, the Yu-Gi-Oh movie coming out, I was like, Mom, I want to go see the Yu-Gi-Oh movie on my birthday because I was huge into Yu-Gi-Oh, like playing the card game, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And we went. This is also crazy. You maybe it's AMC Bayou. It might be the other one though. Do you remember the Rave in Pensacola?
My family moved here in 2011, so if it went down before then you know what? I think it was still called Rave by the time we moved down here. And then it changed to an AMC.
I was about to say, I could have swore it was just called Rave, and then AMC took over sometime the past 10 years sort of thing.
Yeah, I think it was still called Rave for a couple years after we moved down here.
What was wild was it was my birthday. I think it was on a Thursday or Friday. And we went to go see it. And I've never we live like Pensacola, for instance. It's big, but it's not big city big. It's not Atlanta big. It's none of that stuff.
Yeah. It's a hell of a lot bigger than where I grew up.
Oh yeah. It's bigger than where I live now. It's bigger than Navarre. It's bigger than Fort Walton, bigger than Destin, that sort of thing. Yeah. But it's a small city, essentially. If you compare it to big cities, it's a small city. We went there, and the line, I've never seen a line like this before for a movie. If you have been there recently or been there the past 5 years, where the tickets are, the line went all the way across the sidewalk around the building.
Oh my God.
Around the building.
Yeah, I was
so you're talking like at least 200 people in line. I think it was more than that. If I'm thinking about the line now, it had to have been 200 or more if it was going around the building.
That's completely ridiculous. Yeah, like I was there about 3 nights ago, so I've got a pretty good mental image of the dimensions, and that's completely insane.
I've never seen that before with any movie at that theater since. Like, this was for the Yu-Gi-Oh movie.
The Yu-Gi-Oh, jeez, like the Demon Slayer movie was one of the highest grossing anime movies in the United States, like ever, and I don't think even it would have had like lines like that. Now, everybody probably bought their tickets online at the time, but still, like
yeah. No, the Yu-Gi-Oh movie, I remember barely anything about that movie. I remember the experience more than I do about the movie. I remember that line going around the building. I remember either in line, someone was passing these out, or once we got our tickets, they were passing out the Yu-Gi-Oh movie packs. Like there were specific packs for the movie, and you got like 3 cards in it or something. Or maybe it was 1 card.
They were passing out E in the line. Kids were losing their mind in that theater.
But that's like we got on this topic because you had brought up Yu-Gi-Oh, but that is one of the wildest theater experiences I've ever had, because it's Yu-Gi-Oh the movie.
Yeah.
And for Pensacola, in all the years I've seen movies in Pensacola, I don't really see movies in Pensacola that much anymore. But in all the years I've seen movies in Pensacola, even opening night stuff, even something like I didn't go see Infinity War in Pensacola.
Yeah.
I did see it in Destin, and it was packed. But opening night for Infinity War or Endgame, I am almost certain did not have the crowd that opening night of Yu-Gi-Oh! The movie did in Pensacola.
Jeez.
It's so wild.
That's insane. Okay, real quick before I'm gonna try and hold on to Yu-Gi-Oh mentally. Okay. Can we pause the recording real quick?
Yeah.
Screw Yu-Gi-Oh. We don't want to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh anymore.
Yeah, screw Yu-Gi-Oh. talking about soda, and my dog doesn't like that we swapped topics.
Like, you guys were just reaching a decent point or conclusion or something on Yu-Gi-Oh, I think.
Talk about Joey. Talk about Yugi.
Yeah, talk about Joey. Talk about Taya.
Taya, yeah. I forgot what her name was till you just mentioned it.
Yeah. Taya.
And this is what she sounds like as well.
Yes. This is what she sounds like. That's what she sounds like in Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged.
I think that's what I'm thinking of. I've heard her voice somewhere that sounded similar to that. I guess that's what it was.
Yeah. Because like back in the day when Little Karibo was first making Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, he didn't have any other voice actors to call on. So he did his best girl impression. And it was just a high-pitched voice. Oh god, I love Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged though. It's so hilarious. It's like there's a bit, I think it's like, you know, it's the abridged adaptation of like a filler arc or something where like Kaiba learns that he has like another brother.
Yeah.
And so they have to fight him and everything. And Kaiba's like, and Noah's the character's name. So Kaiba's like, I have to like defeat Noah by myself. I don't need friends. And then Taya, there's a point where Taya like throws both of her arms out like in a T pose basically, but like she's doing it to like stop Kaiba from like walking away, right?
Right.
She's like trying to block him, but the way that Little Karibo plays the scene is, but we have these. Like she's displaying her breasts for him, and Kaiba's like, those are very nice. And Taya's like, does Noah have these? And Kaiba's like, God, I hope not. It's so ridiculous. I love it. Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged is hilarious.
Yeah, that's the thing that got me. It's been a few years since I watched it, but that was the thing that got me into watching Yu-Gi-Oh! As an adult.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll go back and watch. And I didn't watch a ton, but I did watch at least like 15 to 20 episodes. It was very nice.
What got me into Dragon Ball, like in general, was Dragon Ball Z Abridged.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
like probably one of the reasons that like Krillin is my favorite character in Dragon Ball altogether is because mentally I transfer a lot of his traits from the abridged version onto the regular version. And he is objectively the best character in DBZ Abridged.
Yeah. We've either talked about or talked about with someone like Dragon Ball Z, I should say. I think Dragon Ball you can kind of get into really no problem, but Dragon Ball Z definitely, if you didn't grow up with it, it's hard to, it's not, I mean, compared to like the anime you have today and stuff. Like anime has like evolved over the years and stuff. And it's built off of DBZ, and DBZ built off of other stuff, that sort of thing. But like, trying to get into it now, like unironically or anything like that, it'd be really hard.
Yeah.
Like if I hadn't grown up with it as a little kid, like watching Toonami and stuff, I would never get into DBZ now.
Yeah, because like back in the day, watching Toonami as a kid, you start watching Dragon Ball Z, and it's like, whatever, right? It's just what it is. You just watch it, and it's like, okay, this is cool. Like, this is different than anything that's on, like anything else that's on TV right now. This is different
exactly.
From SpongeBob. This is different from Rugrats. Heck, it's even though they're both anime, it's different from Pokemon. So it's like it's a completely different animal compared to anything else that you're going to get at that time. So like you just kind of take it as it comes. But these days, if you try to watch it, especially like in the age of streaming where you start everything from the beginning, like it's got impenetrable lore with pre-established characters who all already know each other and make regular references to things that have already happened in their lives without clarifying what that is. So it's like you're left feeling like you're starting in the middle of a story because you are.
Yeah.
So, like, I remember the first time I tried to watch Dragon Ball Z, I didn't watch the original Dragon Ball, and I just jumped into the middle of it, and I was like, well, not the middle of it. I started Dragon Ball Z, but it's like, this is all, like, how did people start with this one? Because I knew there was an original Dragon Ball. I knew that Z wasn't the starting point, but, like, I tried to start with it because I knew so many other people did, and I was like, how did other people start here? There is so much to this that, like, the viewer's not privy to without watching Dragon Ball or reading Dragon Ball first.
Yeah. It was one of those things where like little kids like value and think on story, but you don't take in everything.
Yeah.
When you're a little kid. So it's one of those things where it's like, hey, it has some fun moments.
Yeah.
I like these interactions with these characters. Oh, some pretty cool fights that I haven't seen yet. Like,
I guess these guys know each other already. That's fine.
Yeah. I mean, well, that was the thing as a little kid is like, especially back in that time before streaming, as well as recording stuff was a thing, but not all households had it. At least my house didn't. Like my parents have slowly evolved with technology over the year, but even today they're still not caught up. It was one of those things where they just weren't caught up to that at that time of DVRing something.
Yeah.
So really TV was just, hey, whatever's on, and it's usually a rerun, and we're also on episode 30 of season 3 of whatever show, and it's like, okay, yep, I'm just along for the ride.
Yeah.
And that's, yes, sitcom was a big thing back then, or even with children's shows. It's like SpongeBob, where it's random episode doesn't matter, but there were shows like Dragon Ball Z where it was a linear story from beginning to end.
Yeah.
But it was just one of those things where, like, this is what we have, so we'll just jump into the middle of this whole Frieza saga.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because the Frieza saga is what got so many American kids on board in the first place.
Oh yeah.
There are so many people who jumped on in the middle of Goku's fight with Frieza.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like I don't. Yeah, I remember. I remember not really, as a little kid, not really seeing much of the last half of season 1. Basically, Nappa and Vegeta coming back to Earth and that whole fight and stuff playing out.
Yeah.
I don't remember much of that as a kid. It was whenever I was like a teenager that I went through and watched all of it in like linear order, where I truly saw that stuff. But yeah, it was like bits and pieces. It's like, okay, like some nights I'll watch back to back and keep up, and then, oh, I missed the time slot. It was on, it was probably some other time. It's like 8:30 to 9. Oh crap, I missed watching it. And we don't know what the heck DVR is, so it's not like we could have recorded it. So I just missed that chunk.
Yeah.
And then if that happens multiple nights, because I'm a kid and I'm busy and I don't always think, oh, tonight is DBZ night, then I can go like 2 months without watching an episode. And then it's like, okay, I'm like, we're halfway through this season and I've missed all these episodes. But as a little kid, it's like, oh yay, here's Goku and them. I'm just along for the ride, even though
Goku and them.
Miss. Yeah. That's what Dragon Ball Z becomes. Dragon Ball Z is just Goku, Vegeta, and them. And really you could just say Goku and them.
Yeah. Well, no, I would say Super really did make it into Goku and Vegeta.
Super
and then
does.
And then you can skip the and them part.
Super does, but I'm saying with Dragon Ball Z, it comes down to Goku and them. Yeah, but it's a fun time as a kid. But with modern technology and streaming all that stuff, that sounds horrible. We've got better ways of viewing all this stuff.
Yeah.
And also, we have access to so much more stuff to where it's like, yeah, if you're jumping into an anime, look, I grew up with Dragon Ball Z, holds a place in my heart.
Yeah.
But if you're jumping into anime or you've never seen Dragon Ball Z, you can ultimately skip it. It's not amazing. I say it's good because of nostalgia. But compared to everything that's out there, I'm talking about every anime that's out there right now at your fingertips, skippable.
Yeah.
Completely skip it.
And I say Dragon Ball Z is good because that's just the kind of thing that I'm into. But yeah, like, however, and a lot of people who have heard me talk about Dragon Ball Z are going to be like, when have you ever said it's good? Because I'm also extremely vocally critical of Dragon Ball Z. But that's mostly because too many of Dragon Ball's fans aren't critical enough.
100%.
And when they do try to criticize it, they criticize the wrong things about it.
Yeah.
It's like, I get it, right? Like, there are things to pick apart, but I don't want to, like, when I agree with someone that something is bad or could have been done better, I don't want to listen to that person tell me all the wrong reasons it's bad, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I get it. I also think that a thing is bad, but I think that the thing is bad for the right reasons, not the same reasons all you people think it is.
Yeah.
But no, I like Dragon Ball, and like, as a whole, like, as a franchise, I like it.
Yeah.
Because I think I generally just think it's very good. It's just a solid series. But the thing is, like, there are so many times though too where it's like, okay, I'm about to go on one of my federally trademarked Teo Dragon Ball rants, specifically about the Dragon Ball fandom, because there's always more to complain about in a fandom than there is to complain about with an actual piece of media. One of the most annoying facets of trying to discuss Dragon Ball with people is that there are so many anime series, right, where, like, they have these huge casts, these, like, massive casts.
Yeah.
And people tend to complain that, like, the main character gets all the spotlight, which I don't understand, that they're the main character. Like, but yeah, like I've heard people complain that Naruto is bad because Naruto is the only character who gets to do anything cool for any, like, long periods of time. And I'm like, I'm sorry, the series is not titled Hidden Leaf Village.
Yeah.
The series is titled Naruto.
Yeah, it's going to be about him.
It's like when people say Batman has plot armor. Firstly, plot armor is not real. Quit complaining about it. Complaining about plot armor is just whining that the main character, like, that the story is about the main character. But, like, yes, like, the same complaints though that people have about Batman, that, like, oh, Batman's got plot armor. Again, that's not real. Anyone who complains about plot armor, you've lost all credibility and your opinion can't be taken seriously. But, like, they'll say that about, like, Naruto or Luffy, which, with Luffy, I feel like that's a slightly more legitimate complaint, because the title of the series isn't Monkey D. Luffy. It's One Piece. But at the same time, the Straw Hat crew are all the main characters. And Luffy, sure, Luffy doesn't die, but he still gets his cheeks beat. Like, and the point is to see, and, like, Luffy gets stronger in all the same ways Goku does, right? But Dragon Ball fans will complain about that, saying that Luffy, like, getting stronger mid-battle is an illegitimate way to become more powerful, even though Goku does literally that in every single battle.
Yeah.
Oh, but Goku trains, like, all the time. It's like, yeah, Goku trains, which means he also doesn't have a fulfilling, like, life outside of the fight, which makes for an extremely boring character, in my opinion. But yeah, like, they'll always just say that, like, literally every frame of screen time where Goku or Vegeta aren't on screen, they're training. Like, that's basically the justification that you have to make for that, to be like, it's so stupid. But, like, then
not even justifying it, just as I know Goku as a character, he probably is doing that.
Still though,
that's all he cares about.
Still though, that's really stupid.
No, I'm not saying as a justification thing. I just mean Goku. Look, I love Dragon Ball Z. I love Goku. I love Vegeta. There's not a crap ton of character to Goku.
Yeah.
To where what we see of him is whether the world is ending or not, he enjoys a fight.
Yeah.
Whether it's ending or not. People, Goku or other people will justify that he's doing the training to protect the universe, to protect us. At the end of the day, deep down, he just enjoys the fight. If the world wasn't ending,
for violence.
If the world wasn't ending, he'd still be doing this.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where justification stuff, I don't care about that. Just in terms of how little of a character Goku is.
Yeah.
If you don't see him on screen, he could be training. I'm not saying like justify anyone's point or anything, more just like, yeah, for what I know of Goku, that's probably what he's doing. I doubt he's at home with Chi-Chi and stuff.
Yeah. So all of that was to kind of get to the point that, so fans, I'll see Dragon Ball fans online complain a lot that like the supporting cast of other series never get to do anything, and it's all about making the main character look cool, as if that's not the point of literally every story. And then they'll criticize Dragon Ball anytime someone other than Goku or Vegeta does anything cool. Because, again, it comes back around to that justification of like, this character didn't earn this moment because they didn't train for it. It's like, or like they hold characters in their minds at like static positions in the power hierarchy based on previous arcs. And it's like, all I like, 'cause I saw a Dragon Ball page where someone was posting panels of Master Roshi dodging Jiren's attacks during the Tournament of Power in the Dragon Ball Super manga. And they were using that as a point of complaint because they're like, is this not the same Master Roshi that was afraid of Raditz when he first came to Earth? Now he's just casually dodging Jiren's attacks. It's like, okay, people, do you want an interesting story or not? Genuinely.
Yeah.
Do you want to read something fun and interesting and engaging, or do you want it to be just an exercise in hard, my big number beats your little number?
Yeah, exactly.
Literally every character other than Goku and Vegeta just immediately gets crushed. Yeah. Like, it's like Dragon Ball fans are so desperate for the most boring story imaginable.
Yeah. And it's one of those things, if people really have to pick at it and try to line up everything and all that, like with something like that, like the Master Roshi thing, years have passed since beginning of DBZ to that point in Super. It could just easily be Master Roshi has been training or this thing or that thing. It's not like Goku and Vegeta are the only people training in this universe. It's
for me, it's an example of Master Roshi was toasted going into the Tournament of Power. He was high on the devil's lettuce, and he was so he was in his zone. He was in his state. He was totally ready for what was going to happen. Master Roshi was trying to kick the habit when Raditz first showed up. We'll say that. Like, so he was stressed out and anxious. No, that's I'm kidding. I mean, the abridged version of Roshi is a stoner, but and that's like the core joke behind it.
Yeah.
But still, but like for the power scalers, because they can't help ruining everything.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball just becomes an exercise in finding reasons to complain about anybody other than Goku or Vegeta doing anything cool. But then they also complain when Goku and Vegeta do anything cool because they're the only ones who get to do anything cool. It's like when somebody else gets to do something, but then somebody else does something cool and they complain because the character, as far as they know, hasn't been training.
Exactly.
But like for someone with a healthy relationship with the media they consume, all that moment is hey, Roshi finally got to do something. He's one of my favorite characters from when I was a kid. So it's fun to see him do this now. This is a hypothetical person for this, by the way. I got into Dragon Ball as a teenager. But like, but like, I'm presenting a hypothetical of like maybe there's someone who grew up on Dragon Ball, and let's say they grew up on original Dragon Ball too. Let's say they like the whole thing, right? So like, you get to this moment in the Tournament of Power and Super, and they finally get to see Roshi do something cool again for the first time in like 30 years. And it's like that, like, just let people have these things. Like,
yeah, it's one of those things where like
to be an exercise in raw number comparison.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I am that hypothetical person in this example I'm about to say. I haven't seen any of Super. Eventually, I will. I mean, I've seen the first 2 Super movies, which are basically the first 2 seasons of Super.
Yeah. Technically, Brandon, those are Dragon Ball Z movies because they have the Dragon Ball Z title.
I get that, but I kind of hate that they made an hour and 20-minute movie into 13 episodes, sort of thing.
Oh yeah, that's
really
just stretch that stuff out.
And they did that with the Fusion F thing or whatever the heck that was called.
Resurrection.
It was good. I'm not saying it was bad. I just can't remember.
Yeah, if you've seen both of those movies, you can skip the first 20 episodes of Super.
Yeah, the first, I think, 26 episodes are just those 2 movies.
I think it was 21 actually.
I gotta check because I remember me and my brother bought part 1 or season 1 and then season 2, and we were watching both of them. And it's like, well, damn, the movies we saw are literally just this. This is just stretched out version of the movie. And no offense to Super, the show,
it's more
they had a bigger budget in those movies to where it looks better.
Yeah, the show, like, and the thing is, like, those episodes of the show as it is were kind of rushed to air. So when for the streaming and physical release versions, they actually had to go back and clean up a lot of scenes because it was really rough when it first aired.
Yeah, it was just one of those things where, like, I'm sure it's good. I didn't finish all of those because, like I said, I saw the movies. It's fine. I don't need to spend 13 hours watching 2.5 hours of movies. But yeah, and also, like, the Beerus fight in the movie was sick in Battle of the Gods. I
still have to see those movies. I watched the Super versions.
Like, Fusion F was okay. It was good. I don't think it was a bad movie, but compared to Battle of the Gods, like, Battle of the Gods was like great. I had like a great time watching that.
Yeah.
I think it hit comedy great. I think it hit the fights great, all that stuff. Yeah. And it was our introduction to this whole, like, Super Saiyan God, as well as these gods and stuff, to where it was like, whoa, holy crap.
It basically introduced what the next phase of Dragon Ball was about.
Exactly. Yeah.
Super is very much about, like, the gods of destruction and Goku and Vegeta training under Beerus.
Yeah. So it was
training under Whis. Beerus is there.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. Oh, okay. Now I remember what I was thinking before I got sidetracked. With talking about that hypothetical person of, like, hey, I grew up on Dragon Ball Z and I like this character, and now I get to see them do something. That happened with me with that Gohan and Piccolo movie that came out a few years ago.
Yeah, Superhero. I love that movie.
Yeah, it was a fun time. I had a great time. We had talked about it back on, I think, Store Brand. Yeah. But, like, I had a fun time watching that because, hey, I get to see Gohan doing something. Like, for someone that wasn't keeping up with Super at that time, all I had was DBZ. Like, jumping into that movie, I was like, hey, Gohan. Hey, Piccolo too. Whoa.
Yeah, like, Piccolo is one of my favorite characters. So, like, I was really happy that he was basically the main character of that movie.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was that hypothetical person you were talking about when it came to that movie, because I had a great time with that.